More than 4,000 crime prevention wardens are expected to hit the streets of Gauteng from the 1st of May as part of government's plan to fight crime in the province. This was announced by the Premier yesterday. Let's speak to the Premier spokesperson, Vuyo Mhaga, who joins us now to take this conversation forward. Vuyo, thank you so much for making time for us. The Premier declared the fight against crime his top priority when he delivered the State of the Province address. And now we're starting to see these announcements that were part of that SOPA. Help us understand what's going to be the mandate of this more than 4,000 crime prevention wardens.
No, thank you very much for having us, Clement. The mandate will be quite strong. I mean, they will be able to arrest, but importantly, they must work with the police, the Metro Police in their respective municipalities. We are anticipating that about 10 wardens, police wardens, will be deployed in each and every community. And on top of the 6,000 that the Premier did speak about, we are going to also unveil about 200 motor vehicles that they're going to be using, and 2 choppers, as you will have actually said in SOPA. So basically now is to really intensify the work that is to make sure that we are fighting crime. But importantly, they'll work jointly with the police, with the security personnel, with the Metro Police, so that they don't work in isolation, but they work as a unit in terms of responding to the crime in Gauteng.
What difference are you expecting that this intervention will make in communities?
Well, we want them to be the first point of call whenever the communities, they are under distress. Part of the things as we go along this particular financial year, Clement, we are busy finalizing the issue of the panic buttons, where a lot of Gauteng residents will be able to download it or will have the gadget. So every time someone presses that panic button, they must be the first point of call to make sure that they are able to assist the residents of Gauteng, but also to continuously monitor the issue of crime in Gauteng over a period of time. Will be actually making sure that they get trained to specialize around the problems of land invasion, around people who are stopping projects and other areas where we feel that they need a bit of speciality. So we're gonna increase that part to make sure that our people are actually secured and free.
Do they have the tools of trade, the wardens?
They will have the tools of trade. They will be increased, and that's what the Premier basically said, is that they will continue to obviously augment. Currently, they will operate within, as I've said, the system that is basically there. So as we move along, they'll actually be having those tools of trade to actually operate.
My understanding is that there's no command center yet, and I think the Premier went at length yesterday to explain what still needs to be done in that regard. But the panic buttons you mentioned, the CCTV cameras, they are not operational yet. Will this work without a command center?
No, remember, there is already a command center that does exist in terms of the police and all that. What the Premier speaks about is really the state-of-the-art command center, where you are able to connect the CCTV cameras working with the private sector to make sure that you've got one unit, the disaster team. Whenever there's a disaster, you must have the command center that is able to respond. So you are looking at a massive area where we are able to monitor Gauteng at a go. So it does not necessarily say that we don't have currently the interim one that is operating. What the Premier visualized is an area where everything is basically a one-stop. You've got the disaster guys, you've got the emergency people, you've got the police, and we're able to look at Gauteng in totality. Whenever there's a panic, that command center is able to disperse. If there's a heist somewhere, you are able to say which camera, which car is closer. So that integrated work, we're going to be dealing with that. That is an ideal setup the Premier speaks about. But I can tell you now, Clement, we are actually on our way to make sure that that state-of-the-art command center will be there to augment the work that these young men and women will be doing on our behalf.
When can that command center be completed? And also in simple terms, are you saying that the residents of Gauteng will be able to press that panic button, which then sends a signal to this command center to elicit a response?
Yes, that is really what we're going to be doing. So if you press the command, the panic button is able to use the geolocation where you are, and then be able to then communicate to the ground foot soldiers to basically respond to. If you are unable to do that, part of the thing that I did not mention, Clement, that we're bringing drones. So you'll understand in some of the informal settlement, it will be difficult to have the cars entering. So we'll use the technology like drones to be able to zoom in and make sure that they augment the work. So it's all the e-policing that we're talking about that must augment the work of the actual police on the ground.
Will you be working with Sanral to access their gantries and maybe Gauteng as well? How are those talks going, if that's the case?
Yeah, definitely. We'll be working with Sanral. I can say now that we've got some of our traffic provincial police that are actually stationed at Sanral. We are in conversation with them, as you'll know. Part of the view of Gauteng to use the countries is to really make sure that those countries are used to respond to the issues of crime. So those discussions are ongoing, but I can actually confirm with you that there are already traffic police that are stationed at Sanral to make sure that they are actually able to assist us with that particular work. But we'll intensify that work as we go along.
Okay, so now we're looking at over 4,000 of these wardens. Is there a new recruitment process that's going to start anytime soon to get the remainder of the wardens? Because if I'm not mistaken, your target initially was about 6,000.
You're quite correct. There are those, the ones that are graduating on this month. The other ones, I think you have seen on the social videos where the Premier was having a look at them. So the next cohort will graduate in the end of May. Then we'll be able to then maybe just to add some more. Then after that, we'll then continue to train them so that they can be able to be specialized in different areas of crime prevention. So we'll continue to do that work. But definitely by June, all of them, we suspect, they'll be back in the force and in our communities.
What target have you, as the provincial government, set for yourself in this fight against crime? What's the goal? There are some people that still look at this program by the Premier and say, well, it's a pie in the sky, even though you're beginning to see now some practicalities. So it's not just what he announced. You're beginning to see, the people being appointed, some gadgets being purchased as well.
No, it's really about the police visibility, and I think that's one of the issues that the Premier has been complaining about. Just a mere safety to know that there's someone that you can call for. So with that sheer number of about 10, minimum 10 police in your ward that are actually patrolling for you. So we'll obviously send some of them in high crime areas like Oliven and all that. But as I've said, Clement, all of them will be under the command of the police currently in Gauteng. Lieutenant General Mawela will be able to deploy them. But what we need is that integration will be, the Premier will be meeting with the security companies to make sure that we augment. We'll be meeting with the technology companies, in particular those who've got CCTV cameras in the private sector, to make sure that we really do reintegration so that our people can really feel safe and we're able to work not in isolation but as a united force to respond to the issue of crime in Gauteng.
All right, Vuyo Mhaga, thank you for making time for us.